Hi, I'm Wes, the ExploDjinn, and I have nothing for this week. I ran out of ideas, there's nothing I can get done in time, and... Wait, what's this? On my YouTube Studio dashboard, an inspiration tab. Maybe I should give it a click and see if it lives up to its name. Let's see, here we go, and... yeah, this is something I can maybe work with. The first is ranking the best Mega Man bosses. And I've kind of already done this a few times. I've done videos listing both my favorite and then least favorite or most hated depending, using some but not just the criteria listed below, and I've done this by game. And while this seems to be limited to just classic, it's asking for all classic. If I did just the Robot Masters, that'd be over 90 of them right there. But if we're also taking into account Mega Man killers and fortress bosses and the like, that'd be overwhelming. And while I have considered ranking all of the Mega Man games, not just doing it series by series, that would have to be for a very special occasion, not something I just throw together willy-nilly. To do all the bosses in Classic, I think the only way I could get away with it is if I did it like the Poké Rap and didn't actually stop to explain why for each of them. And if I did do it properly, how hard of a sell do you think it would be to get somebody to watch a 2-hour plus video, which starts out with me bitching about how much I hate the stinking King Tank? While I have considered redoing those videos to make it so that it's only my top and bottom 10 overall, that still feels like it'd be a little too repetitive with a lot of the same names showing up and just the order being shuffled around. So even then, I'd say it's not really a good idea. This, though, not only feels derivative, but also very poorly thought out. Next is the history of Mega Man, a timeline. And it seems the idea is to talk about the release history and all that jazz. Well, Mega Man was released in 1987, it did well but not well enough that Capcom wanted to fund a sequel, but they told the team behind it that they could work on it in their free time if they really believed in it. They did, they made Mega Man 2, it was a huge hit, Capcom realized that there was money in it, and so they started requesting more and more, which is why we got things like a rushed Mega Man 3, though I still do love that one. And at some point we just kinda hit critical mass with multiple Mega Man releases coming out every year, it being really hard to keep up with, and then all of a sudden Keiji Inafune left the company, the well dried up, they canceled 3 Mega Man games right in a row and tried to sell us the shitty stinking mobile game instead, and then things just kinda went quiet for a while until Mighty No. 9 came along. And I guess Capcom thought, oh man, we can still make money on this, and they put out Mega Man 11, and it was the best-selling Mega Man game ever, and we keep on asking, where's the next Mega Man game? And they're like, we're carefully considering the best way to utilize this very important IP to us, but we still see nothing. Allegedly, Rockman Tyson is still coming, we haven't seen an official cancellation, but we never got an official announcement, so what's it matter? We also got X-Die, which was really funny because that was a gacha game, and gacha games are all about selling waifus, and Mega Man is pretty much the sausage party game. I mean, it's right there in the name, and that's pretty much where we're at now. They just continue to release the old games that we used to have, but now are not available anywhere else anymore. And that's great, but something new would be really, really nice. I think that about covers it. Does anyone have any questions? I mean, I guess I could do this, but I feel like this has already been done by other people. Whether it be the timeline and history of Mega Man and it's just, release as a franchise, or the actual stinking, what was it, like the 2-hour long thing where somebody talks about the actual in-game timeline, complete with the split between, Classic and Battle Network. I'm also not exactly great with dates and the like. Sitting down and doing this, I had to remind myself whether I was 37 or turning 37 this year. It was the latter. So while I'd say this is a decent idea for somebody else who could do it better, I kind of also want to say that somebody else did already do this better. Several of them, in fact. Moving on. Next is unboxing a rare Mega Man cartridge. And this is a really good one. I actually really like this. I would love to do something like this. If somebody could just send me a rare Mega Man cartridge in box that I could then open up, you get a look at my hands, my beautiful, beautiful hands, and yeah, we could test it out on like an old system or something. This would be great. Would somebody help me out with this, please? I do not have a copy of Mega Man Soccer. My favorite Mega Man music, which is actually something I've thought about a few times, but the problem is I'm not very music inclined. I mean, sure, I like music, who doesn't, and some of the stuff I listen to the most are video game tracks, chief among them Mega Man, but I couldn't give you any deep insights into any of them. I mean, I like Hell's Gate Open from 03 and Jacob's Ladder from X8, but I couldn't tell you anything too detailed about the actual composition. And while I know that Bubble Crab's theme has an aquatic feel to it, enough that I could tell you without even seeing the stage that it belonged to a water level, I couldn't exactly explain why. I mean, seriously, I have considered this, I wanted to do this, but it would just be like a list of 10 things where I say, I like this song, it gets me jazzed up. I like this song, it gets me pumped up. I like this song, it's upbeat and gets me excited. And that wouldn't exactly be too interesting to listen to, now would it? I don't know, maybe I'll find my words at some point, or I'll just do it really, really fast where I'm just like, I like this one, it's a good one. I have positive associations with it because I really like the level it was in, which does seem like a bit of a cop-out now, doesn't it? That's more a comment on the game design than the actual composition. But I don't think I'm qualified for this. Honestly, it's hard enough just putting in a section for sound each time when I do a review without feeling like a frickin' fraud. And finally, there's Mega Man the Ultimate Fan Theory. A groundbreaking theory is presented, exploring the hidden connection between the Mega Man games and the real world. You'll be surprised by the evidence presented and how it could change your perception of the classic franchise. Kind of interesting that most of these seem to be concentrating on classic, isn't it? But anyway, this is just kind of a game theory thing, isn't it? I mean, I could definitely make some stuff up, draw some comparisons, say, oh man, the classic series is just like the old Paranoia where people were saying, oh, automation and machines, they're gonna take our jobs, we're gonna be out of work. Which has now evolved into, oh, AI's coming to take our jobs, I'm gonna be out of work. Which would kind of be how, we went from classic robots and then the Battle Network net navies, you know what I mean? Or I could bullshit you even harder and say that Mega Man 4 was actually a metaphor for the Cold War, and that in X4, Sky Lagoon was actually Capcom predicting 9/11. Sparkman wanted to do 9/11 with trains. Anyway, while I'm not opposed to game theory stuff and might have some of my own, and I won't say that there aren't real-world inspirations for some of the things we play, at the same time, this one's vague enough that it just feels like, if I can put a few more coins in the swear jar, it's asking me to pull a bunch of stuff out of my ass and bullshit you. If somebody else made this one, I don't think I'd watch it, since I'd expect it to be filled with a bunch of things that are really obvious, like Dustman being a vacuum cleaner, or things so out there that I'd constantly be thinking, yeah, that's a stretch. But maybe I'm being unduly harsh. And that's it. But wait, one more thing? Finally design an avatar and show it off? Now that's a good idea. So here you go. I should probably mention I'm not much of an artist and these are rough sketches. Might use one of these as a placeholder, but I'll probably be looking into commissioning someone to do a more professional looking version in the nearest future. I have 3 sketches, which I also colored in. The common elements are that it's a bomb with genie-ish pants. ExploDjinn, you get it? Also gave them more cartoony white gloves in each version, since with them being magical and having a more slapstick version of an explosive as their main body, something sleek and cool or even realistic didn't really fit. My favorite Dragon Ball character is Majin Buu, so I took some inspiration from him and also some from Shantae for the pants, but I still tried to differentiate things enough. First one of these has poofy pants like Buu wore, looking more like Fat Buu specifically, with the little lines being creases and hopefully not looking too much like hair, and a sash tied to the side keeping them up. Pointy shoes because genie. The second I went for more of a thin at the top, fluffed out at the bottom kind of harem pants like you'd see on some iterations of Shantae. Though the thinner at the waist thing doesn't exactly come across on a round body. Different type of pointy shoes, and EX on the belt because of the front of my username, and some Stage 2 Navi chips in Battle Network are also labeled that way, so there's also the Mega Man connection. It's not because I want to buy and rename any social media platforms. And finally, there's a longer version, where I was able to kinda show what I was going for with the pants in the last one, but could have also just come across like I don't understand proportions. Not that I really can say that I got those perfect anyway. Still, the basic idea is there. Bomb body, white glove hands, though rather than just attaching right to the surface or floating just off of it, I gave some extra fuses to serve as arms. Also thought it might be a good gag if they could flex and form muscles. As for the belt, I'm not really sure if I mean for this to be a waistband, another sash, or what. Shoes are a bit more basic, more like slip-ons as well. And you can probably tell with most of this, I'm just kinda throwing stuff at the wall and trying to figure out what works. Different elements I can mix and match, with different color schemes that I can also swap. Hell, since this ain't exactly a normal creature, I could really change any of them for any reason. I could even swap the quote-unquote skin color to make them pink for Valentine's or orange for Halloween. I just definitely want purple to be one of the main colors, and brown or white probably makes the most sense for the fuses, but otherwise, whatever. As for a few of the more oddball decisions, I thought about giving them simple eyes, but I thought that would make them look a little too much like a Bob-omb or Kirby. Or I also considered giving them Kamina glasses that could shift to emulate the eyebrows for expressions, but then I figured I could have different hands to get the different moods across, plus I could also change the cap and fuse for a similar effect. The mix and matching doesn't stop there though. Due to my love of Dragon Ball, I might even use something like the shorter designs, then have them transform into the longer one if I need to get serious. And if you're disappointed that I'm not going with an effeminate anime man, I could even throw in a transformation like that down the line. It still wouldn't feel as big of a stretch as Janemba was. I guess what I'm saying here is, these are the rough ideas, any suggestions welcome, and any tips for going about commissions would also be helpful. This is something I'll probably use more on stream than here, but it was still something I talked about during my yearly update, so it felt appropriate to bring it up here. But in case it wasn't obvious, the avatar was what I wanted to show off this week. I just wasn't sure if it was significant or interesting enough to make a whole video on, and I didn't want to tack it on to the end of something I actually had put a lot of thought into. Thus the throwaway inspiration tab idea. And as you probably picked up on it while I was going through, it mostly felt like the suggestions were stuff that was obvious, similar to what I'd already done, something I'd already considered, or something I've seen others do. Given that each of these has an interest rating next to it, I imagine all of them were based off of either one of my videos that performed well, or something that you guys watched and enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And speaking of obvious, I ran it a few times and I swear there was one suggestion for an analysis of Mega Man 11 which kinda made me think, do you mean a review? And in case this also wasn't obvious, I'd only ever use this sort of thing to poke fun at it. I still have plenty of things I'm working on, and if I did need inspiration, I'd rather take it from actual people that I could credit. Like how I got the idea for this video after a lay random Rayquaza 2011 talked about it. I fiddled with the tab a bit, but initially thought that it was suggesting videos from other people who did similar content, though the more I looked at the thumbnails, the more I started to suspect what was really going on. Bunch of little mistakes that make them look uncanny. When it was fully explained to me, I thought it might make a fun one-off for a week when I couldn't get something else together in time, or just had an idea I actually cared about but didn't feel confident to put out on its own. I wouldn't recommend using the inspiration tab seriously though. Already showed off my document folder, but if the well ever ran dry, I could ask for suggestions or see what other people with similar content are doing and put my own spin on it, rather than have AI regurgitate the same for me. Or I could do what I normally do when I don't have something burning in my mind or just don't have the time for the big stuff, and do a review instead. While it's been done plenty of times with plenty of games before, each one should have a person's unique thoughts, insights, and styles to make it stand out from the others. That'll do it, so for feedback this week, I'm looking for any advice on the avatar, how you'd like to see it utilized, and any video suggestions in general. Have a few of that last one that I'm working on, I just need to replace Star Force to properly implement them. With that, thanks as always for watching, and maybe consider subscribing if you're into retro games, especially Mega Man. Was this a Mega Man video, a reveal, or a YouTube video? By which I mean a video about YouTube on YouTube. You know what I mean.